Okay. Good evening, everybody. How are you? I hope you get a chance to just refresh, and I hope you all of you are energetic. Before we go ahead, are you able to hear me properly? Is my video clear? Is my voice audible? Just a quick check. One, two, three. Is my voice audible? Everything good on my end? Okay, great. I am also just going to share my screen to make sure you can take a look at that. All right. Can everybody see my screen? Quick check, guys, quick check. Can everybody see my screen? All right, great. Okay. Hello, everybody. In this session, we are going to build something super interesting, which is a personal assistant agent, right? We're going to use n8n for it. Now, I understand that some of you might not have a background about what n8n is or what AI agent is. So I'll just make sure that we do a quick recap of approximately 5 minutes to just make sure that everybody's on the same page. And anyways, as we grow and go along and build the demo ourselves, not ourselves. I mean, I am going to build the demo, and I would request all of you to just focus and not follow along on your end. As and when I keep building the demo, I'll make sure to explain each and every intricacy of the whole platform or any tips and tricks that I want to share with you about AI agents. So don't worry, you are in safe hands. Okay, don't worry if you don't have any background. Also, just to set some expectation, this is not going to be a very preliminary demo. It's some at some point of times you might feel a bit more uncomfortable. You might feel it a bit more challenging, but you have nothing to worry about. That's what I am here for. Me being your host, I will always try to make sure that everybody's comfortable. I'll just try to set the most comfortable pace. Just keep the chat going so that also I also know that whether I should pace up or pace down. Yeah, I'll break down every step. I'll just assume that you know nothing about this demo, so you don't have anything to worry about. Every set of setup, configuration, etc., I'll be doing from scratch, so you won't have an issue with it. That Prakhar, you did not show us the setup. You directly showed us the steps. No, I will stop at each setup. We'll take breaks for maybe a 5 minutes in between because it's going to be a long session. Also, I'll make sure to do some recaps just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. So that's what I had in mind for now. If everybody's comfortable, I would just like to see some excitement in the chat, and we can just go ahead and get started. Should I get started? Everybody? All right. Okay, great. So what are we discussing here today? All right, we're going to build something. But before that, let me just spend a couple of minutes discussing what an AI agent is. All right, what is an AI agent? Before that, what is a workflow? Workflow, as you already know, is a fixed set of steps that you don't want to perform yourself because they are repetitive, they are mundane. So, workflow, you think of it as a system with a fixed set of steps in the same order, which you can execute anytime you want, and it does not require any intelligence. All right, that is exactly what a workflow means. Um, what does an AI agent mean? AI agent is a smarter form of workflow where it is much more autonomous than workflow. Think of it like an LLM having access to a bunch of tools and certain guidelines from our side to tell it how to use those tools, what to do and what not to do. We call that as guardrails. Once it has an information on how to use those tools, it can just go ahead and perform any sort of tasks that you want by applying its own brain, right? Think of it as this. For example, let's say when you want to drive a car, when you want to learn to drive a car, you're not just handed over a car and you're asked to just drive it, right? You are first of all told that this is brake, this is accelerator, this is clutch, and what's the use of it, when to press what not to do, when to press handbrake. These are all the things that make you more comfortable with the whole process of driving. And once you have an understanding of all these tools of the car, only then can you make independent autonomous decisions on when to apply brake, when to do what, right? That's exactly how AI agents work. It's the difference being that a human agent has its own brain, AI agent has LLM as a brain. Does that make sense? Is that introduction good enough for all of you to just have a foundation? Did I make myself clear? Okay, perfect, great. Even if you're not clear, don't worry. Just take a look at this diagram, right? Just take a look at this diagram. For example, let's say you want this AI agent to do a research over the internet, collate some articles and send it to your friend over email, right? And maybe also set up some meeting, right? So what can the tools be in this case? Input is whatever I've defined just now. That is the user request. What are the tools in this scenario? The tools are, for example, AI would need to send an email. So that means Gmail is one tool. AI would need to do some research. So maybe web search, Google is one tool. And AI would also need maybe, let us set up a meeting or some reminder. So maybe let's say Google Calendar can be another type of tool. So tool is nothing but something that helps an AI agent perform a task. These are nothing but external integrations, right? Like Gmail, like Outlook, Slack, Telegram, all these are tools. Is that clear? Okay, got it. So tools is clear to you. How AI agent functions is clear to you. Now, what do I mean by system prompt? All right. As I mentioned, when you drive a car, you need to know how to use accelerator, how to use brake. So system prompt is nothing but think of it as guardrail, something that guides AI agent on when to use what, right? For example, let's say whenever I chat with AI agent, I want to get my response back on Telegram in a very soft tone. Let's say I always want to be addressed as Mr. Prakhar Bafna. All right, these can be some instructions that I want AI agent to always follow, which otherwise AI agent would not be aware of, right? All these specific instructions that tell AI agent how to behave, right? How to behave, how to perform. Of course, AI agent has its own brain using which it will break down the tasks into its own sort of like action plan. But how to go about it, what to keep in mind, what should be the tone of my responses, all of these guidelines should be a part of system prompt where we define a behavior. For example, always address the user as Mr. or Miss, or always make sure that your tone is polite, or maybe once you're done with all your tasks, always make sure that you send a response back in Telegram to let the user know what has been done. So these are all part of system prompts. Does that make sense to all of you? Clear till now? Nothing complicated so far? Okay, that's great. So long story short, we are ready to go into the demo. Just keep in mind, AI agent is nothing but LLM plus access to some tools, plus some system prompts that we give to define its behavior, right? Now, you also see something called memory here. Why is that required? Any guesses? Why would somebody need memory here? Any guesses? Guys and girls, any guesses? To refer, to refer previous conversations. Okay. Any other guess? Okay, but to be honest, that's a good enough guess. Yes, basically you're right. We don't just want AI agent to answer one query. We want to have back and forth conversations with it, right? For example, first conversation or first task would be, hey, you know what? Fetch my whole calendar and tell me what are the meetings for today. That can be first task. Once that task is done, maybe I can ask it to perform some other task based on this previous information, right? So maybe I can say, you know what, whatever slots are free in the calendar, pick one slot and set up a meeting with, let's say, I'm just making up a name, let's say with Harsh, right? So the second prompt, the second time I give it a task to set up a calendar event in the free slot, if we do not have any past memory of interactions between human and the AI agent, what will happen is AI will start afresh. It will again fetch the calendar. It will again fetch all the events, which will be duplication of calls. It will be more time taking. Also, AI will be using its credits even more, right? Instead of that, what if whatever conversations have happened in past, the user question, the AI response, what if we can store that in memory? And whenever a user makes a request, along with the user prompt, if we can also pass in the whole memory of history of conversations, wouldn't it be better because AI would know whatever has happened till now and it has all of that context. and it doesn't have to get any information again and again. Don't you think that will be helpful? Do you agree? Does everyone agree to this? Okay, great. So as per our discussion, what we have defined is an basically a prompt to AI agent. What is a prompt to agent? It is what is it? It's the user input. Firstly, what next? The system instructions, as I mentioned. Okay, system instructions plus what else? The memory. That is all that goes as a prompt to your AI agent. Okay. So I hope that is very clear. It's very intuitive. It's nothing very technical. Just think of yourself as an AI generalist, right? So things won't be complicated for you. Does that make sense? That's the last part of the theory that we had for today. I have no slides for you, so hopefully you will be, you'll have more fun because slides tend to make things a little more complicated. Whatever theory I had in mind, I have already showed it to you. Think of yourself as an AI journalist for the next 3 or 3.5 hours. I, whatever concept, even if you are not aware of something, I'll just stop right there. I'll introduce that concept to you, and we'll implement that immediately into the demo, so that gets ingrained into your mind. All right. So hopefully that's a good approach to make you learn things pretty quick. Okay, so that's all I had from my end in terms of theory. I think now all of us are on the same page, and we can jump right into the demo. So should I start? Is everybody excited? I want to see some mind blowing, excited, anything that tells me that all of you are energetic. Only then I will start the demo. Come on, I want to see something in the chat. Okay, great. All right. So where do we build? Okay, where do we build? We build on a platform called n8n. Think of it as a plug and play, no code agent builder platform, right? You don't have to write any code. You just have to drag and drop some configurations, add some data to it, and you're done. All right. So it's a very, very non-tech friendly platform where you're not expected to learn any coding. It's very easy to use for everybody, right? So this is where we are going to build our AI agent. All right. Now, tell me, what is the first thing? Okay, tell me, is it okay if I can use Telegram to start the whole AI agent? Will that be okay with you guys? Actually, before that, I just randomly mentioned that we are going to build a personal assistant, but I want to make sure that all of us on the same page as to what a personal assistant can do. All right. You need to have a clear picture of what exactly you are building because your thinking should be like a product builder. So you should exactly know what features do we want to build. All right. So we are going to build a personal assistant agent. Okay. So what can be the capability of this agent? All right. Let me just quickly shift this part. Oops. All right. I screwed it up. All right. What can be the parts? All right. For example, let's start with a very basic example. It can send an email. Okay. It can read emails. All right. What else? What else? What else? It can get your calendar events. Um, then let's take it one notch up. It can set up calendar events on your behalf. All right. Yes, appointment booking. Exactly. Calendar events is nothing but appointment booking. All right. Maybe it can also do web search for us. That's all something that we would like our agent to do. Wait. Okay. Perform web search. Maybe, for example, let's say you want to set up a call to discuss something, and as a prerequisite for to the whole team, you want to do some web search, some web research, and attach all the articles link into that meeting, right? So web search can be an important functionality there. Do you agree? Yes, exactly. Capture minutes. That's the most interesting part, guys. That's the most interesting part. But that's going to be a little challenging, and I'll make sure to keep things simple for you. But yes, you guessed it right. Um, let's say get minutes of the meeting, or maybe capture meeting summary. That is going to be a very interesting one. Yes, it's you might feel slightly uncomfortable when I start doing it because yes, this will take things one notch up. But do you all agree that this is a very interesting use case? Even if you have to learn a concept or a two or to get started with this one, you will learn. Do you agree with me? Is this going to be something that's going to be very useful for you? Are we all aligned? Okay, great. So far, so good. So far, so good. Okay. Maybe a little surprise for you. All right. I'll tell it. I'll tell you later. But we have something interesting here. Okay. I'm just going to leave it blank. Okay. You will get to know in due course what is this. This is going to be a very interesting one. So let's leave it here. All right. It's like I won't give you a spoiler. Okay, it's like a suspense. Okay, so this is our personal assistant. This is the capability of our personal assistant, right? Now, you guys tell me what tools will our AI agent require? Can anybody of you mention what tools will I require? Any guesses? Just take a look at our list and tell me what tools are required. Okay, email tool, which means I will need, let's say, Gmail slash Outlook. Okay. What else? What else? Okay. What else? Anything else? Google Calendar for setting and fetching the email, the basically the calendar invites. What else? Web search will come up later because we'll come to it later, right? But we will require something called a SERP API, which is again a little complex. So once you have developed your foundations, only then you need it. Yes, you're right. You need a web browser, but AI agents do not have internet access by default. So you need to give it some kind of an API that can do a programmatic Google web search. For example, you open a Google browser and you do some searches yourself. AI agent by itself, by design, by default doesn't have that accessibility to internet. So you have to give it some kind of API that is capable of performing Google browser searches, right? This is what SERP does. Or you also have an alternative called Tavily. We can use any of these. All right. Now what's next? This last part, this one, get minutes of the meeting, right? For this, what would you need? For example, let's say you have a Scrum call every day, uh, and you want to summarize that. What would you need? You need a text that tells you exactly what was discussed in the meeting, right? What do we call it? Any guesses? Any guesses, anybody? Okay, audio recording. What do we call an audio recording converted to text? It's called transcript, right? So we need a tool that can give us transcripts. All right. A transcript, for those who don't know what transcript is nothing but a text form of the whole recording, right? Let's say whatever discussion we are having, if there was a translator that converts the audio to text, the final text is called transcript. All right, that has detailed information on who spoke what at what timestamp. So that is the bare bones necessity if we want to create minutes of the meeting, because we will have the whole meeting information in form of text. So basically, then AI will be able to summarize it, right? So we need transcript. All right. Now there is a very interesting tool available out there. We will explore it in depth. I am just going to write the name here. Even if you don't know about what it is, there is no problem at all. You're in safe hands. But there's a tool called Fireflies. All right. It has a free version which is limited. So if you want to use it very extensively, you have to pay some money for it. But yes, it's a very amazing tool. It's used across the industry. It's for note taking. It can join your it can join your meetings as a person, and it can just give you the transcript, give you the notes, give you the summaries, everything. All right. We'll get to it in great depth towards the end of this session. But those are the tools. Oh, we actually forgot a very important tool. We were talking about having the conversation with the agent through Telegram. All right. We have to write our user prompt, user input somewhere, and we have to get the response somewhere, right? Where are we planning to get it? Telegram. All right. These are by and large the tools that we would like to use. Okay. So now you have a perfect understanding of what to expect, what not to expect. and what can this assistant do, what can it not do. That's the whole and soul scope of what we are going to build today. Okay, just ingrain that in your mind. Yes, there are hundreds of different things that you would like to do with your personal assistant. Maybe you would like to set some reminders, maybe you would like to attach it to something else. But for the purpose of the limited time that we have, in the interest of that, and because we have a diverse audience, to cater to common interests, I have picked out these examples which you might think that are irrelevant for you, but at least just think of it as a foundation, right? If you're able to set up all these tools and these actions properly, you will get a whole understanding of how to build a very scalable personal assistant system, and more importantly, you will also get a gist, not even a gist, a deep understanding of how to build AI agents at scale. Okay. So that's the whole incentive or takeaway from this session. Because yes, you might not use these exact examples when you build your own personal assistant, but what I want to make sure is that you understand how to use different tools across the board, how seamless it is to onboard a new tool. And throughout a session, I'm going to make n number of errors. Nothing is planned, so we will run into errors, and those are deliberate, because when you work on these AI agents, you will come across a bunch of errors. So if I just show you a smooth transition here, you will be very, very worried when you come across errors, right? So that's why we are going to make errors, and I'm going to make sure that we fix it for you. All right. Does that make sense? Should we just jump directly into the demo? Is everybody happy? Just sense in the room. Is everybody comfortable? Okay. Somebody has mentioned there's a need for cloud. What do you mean? Why do you need a cloud? You don't need a cloud. n8n, I'll get to n8n in a bit when I started, but you do not need a cloud for any of these, right? It's Gmail, Google Calendar, etc. These are not cloud. Like, you don't need a cloud for this. These are free services. Fireflies is paid. We'll get to that later, but yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by you need a cloud. But anyways, let's go ahead and start. Okay. So this is the tool that you have here. n8n is a platform, as I mentioned, for building agents, right? It's a no-code platform. It's a drag and drop, plug and play platform. So it's very, very easy to learn. Okay, very easy to learn. You just see it. Okay. Somebody mentioned you do not need. Oh, no, 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 no. I did not mention that. I mentioned that somebody said that, you know what, AI agents can directly have access to Google browser. That's when I mentioned that LLMs do not have internet access by default. That is why we need to provide an API for web search as a tool. That's it. So since AI agents cannot directly do a Google web search, we are giving it a tool to make it to be able to basically do a web search. Does that make sense now? Okay, cool, great. So let's get started. This is the n8n platform, and as I mentioned, this is free for 2 weeks. All right, so you can work on as many demos as you want. In the first 2 weeks, it gives you around 1,000 credits, which, in my opinion, is more than enough to at least build 15 to 20 agents. At least you can even build 50, but even 15, 20 is a very generic estimate, right? So in 2 weeks, you can use it as much as you want, but then after 2 weeks expire, yes, then you will have to pay. But of course, good things don't come in easy or free. If you think that you want to use it for longer term, you should pay for it. I have paid for it because I have planned to work on it longer term. All right, cool. So I have just clicked on the create workflow part, and this is a blank slate, right? I will now start building my agent. Does that make sense? Okay, somebody's asking, how do we reach this page? All right, let me do one thing. Let me share this document with you. But you have to promise to not get bogged down by all these details. I am just going to show you, you know what? No. If I share this with you, you will just go through the document and you will not focus on what is happening. All right. I will just share this link with you. All right. This is the n8n homepage. You can see a sign in page here. As soon as you click on sign in, you will get to the screen that I have opened in front of you. All right, nothing complicated, it's simple. I have shared the link. Okay. Wait, I'll just share it again in case you haven't received it. Okay, I think now everybody should have the link. Now we can get started. Okay, all right. So first of all, we have to set a trigger. What is a trigger? A trigger is something that starts the AI agent, right? We need some action that starts the whole AI agent workflow, right? For example, a user message. That is a trigger that just kickstarts the AI agent functioning. All right, we call that as a trigger. Now, what is the trigger in our case? It is Telegram, right? User will send a message on Telegram. Based on that message, this AI agent will keep looking out for a new message. And as soon as a new message arrives, it will pick that and it will start its functioning. All right, AI agent will start performing some actions. So what is the first step? I will just click on this at first step. I will search for Telegram. I will click on Telegram here and I'll just click on. These are all the functionalities that the trigger can be set on, right? What does that mean? It can be triggered on arrival of a message, maybe on a channel post or an edit of a message, all these. But what we are rather interested in is any update, right? If anything happens inside a Telegram, this AI agent should be activated. Does that make sense? Make sense, guys? Guys and girls, everybody? Okay, perfect. All right. Yes, you can also set WhatsApp as a trigger, but WhatsApp is much, much more complicated in my opinion, and it's not very user beginner friendly. Telegram is very beginner friendly and it gets the job done for you. That is the reason why I've picked it up for you because your main focus here is not to just learn individual configurations. You should think about a larger landscape where you should understand all the underlying concepts of AI agent and not just focus on WhatsApp. Once you're up to speed, you can do whatever you want. You can trigger with Slack, you can trigger with WhatsApp, with Gmail, whatever you want, but just focus on at least getting the foundations right. Okay. Okay. So how do you set a Telegram? Right? There is something called credential here, which means we have to connect our account of Telegram so that um, n8n can know what to look out for, right? n8n doesn't have access to our account. It's us who has to provide the access. All right. Make sense? Yes, we can provide Telegram API, but Telegram needs to know what is the API key here, right? That's exactly what it's asking for. Access token. So this is the Telegram API that will hit, but it needs to put in the access token, which will take it to our account, right? Think of it like a very simple integration. We want to integrate n8n with our personal Telegram so that it can look out for messages. That's it. Let's not complicate it. Does that make sense? Okay, and I think now is the right time to share this document with you. I will show you the exact steps. So don't worry, please do not follow along because I have mentioned all the steps in detail here. Okay, I have mentioned all the steps in detail. So you need not worry about, see this, whatever steps I'm going to show you for Telegram setup, you do not need to follow along because I have put in all the screenshots here. So even if you forget some configuration, it's totally fine. I have put in everything in the documentation. So I will just share this link with everybody so that all of you are comfortable. Okay. Okay, but I will still show you how to go forward. All right. Let's see. So what are the steps? The first step is you need to create a new chat in Telegram. How do you create that? There is a specific channel in Telegram for creating new chat bot. So basically, think of it this way. You have to create a chat bot in Telegram so that you can enter some messages for it and n8n can listen to that chat bot. Does that make sense? Think of it like creating a new channel, right? Channel specifically made so that n8n can listen into all the messages that you put in. Does that make sense? There are certain steps that you need to follow for that. All right. What are those steps? The first step is you can just open your Telegram on web. You can open your Telegram maybe on your desktop app, whatever you prefer, and you have to search for something called Botfather. All right, Botfather. I'll just paste that in the chat as well in case anybody is confused. Botfather. Okay. Once you go there, very simple steps, and you do not need to get bogged down by it. You do not need to get very, worried that, hey, I can't remember this. It's very manual, right? You can get it from the internet as well, but I have noted down in the docs for you so that you don't have to do any Google search. All you have to do here is you just have to do a slash new bot command, which is like requesting you to create a new chatbot for us. See this? All right, a new bot. How are we going to call it? Please choose a name for your bot. Maybe I can say, let's say P Bafna Agentic n8n. All right, I'm just giving it a name. Good. Now let's choose a username for your bot. It must end in bot. For example, this. Okay. So I can say, let's say pbafna agentic bot. I'm just following the instructions. I hope nothing is complicated till here so far. Do you agree? Does everybody agree here? Okay, great. Nothing so complicated. Okay, these are just mundane steps that you have to follow to get to our demo. All right. Okay, let's see. Okay, so it says that done. Congratulations on a new bot. You will find it. It has also given you a link to open that bot. But more importantly, this is what you should focus on. This is your access token, the one that we needed. This is what you need to copy here. Wait, text copy to clipboard. Okay, all right. And this is copied here. And all I need to do is I just need to paste this access token here. Is it clear to everybody? So now my connection to Telegram has successfully been established. So far so good. Don't think about what we're going to do next. Just tell me, is this part clear to you? Okay. All right. Great. So now, what else? What else? What else, guys? Okay. Let's just test the connection, right? Always test first principle. Always make sure that you test individual steps so that you don't run into issues once. Okay, if somebody wants me to repeat, basically we have just created a chatbot in Telegram, and that chatbot has also given us an access token. Think of it as a password because our chat is secret. Anyone wants to listen to it, so it needs to send the password. All right, the access token that we have configured here, we just need to pass it to this credential setup. See this? I just created a new credential, added this access token as a password, and my connection got created. Okay, let's go forward. Now, always make sure that you should test your connection before you go forward and add more tools. Does that make sense? All right. Okay, great. So let's execute it. Actually, let's go to our chat. See this. This is our chat link. All right. No messages here yet. Let's start. All right. Execute step. Okay. Cool. It's listening for test event. So let's say I'll just put in hi here. Okay. See this. Do you see the output? The output has the message text. So that tells us that the connection has been successfully established. And now whatever I write in this chat, Telegram, Telegram chat, the n8n will be able to listen to it. Does that make sense? Is everybody crystal clear on what needs to be done here? So that means that we have successfully set up our trigger. All right. So our trigger setup is complete. Okay. Can I go ahead? So far, so good. Just taking a pause of 5 seconds. Let me know if it's clear to you. Okay, great. So we have set up our trigger. What does that mean? Whenever we activate this agent will keep listening to our Telegram chat. As and whenever we put in a message here, this AI agent will become active. This AI agent will just trigger itself and it will start performing actions based on our chat input. Cool. Okay, so we have done that now. Now what next? I'll just click on this plus sign and now we need to create the agent, right? Now, fortunately, n8n gives you inbuilt capability to come up with an agent, right? I'll just type AI agent here. See this? I'll just type in AI agent and I'll leave things as it is. Okay? As it is. Now, you tell me what are these things? Chat model, memory, tool. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Does that sound familiar? What was the definition of AI agent? Remember, let me go back to our drawing board. See this. AI agent is nothing but tools plus memory plus LLM, right? That's exactly what this configuration shows us. Chat model, memory, and tools. So you have to configure each of these things to make your AI agent functional. And that's all that is expected from you, right? n8n will do the heavy lifting of itself. It gives you all the native integrations, be it Gmail, be it the Google Drive, Slack, WhatsApp, and whatnot. You just name it. You have everything at your disposal. You just need to drag and drop and make sure to test your agent if it's functioning properly or not. All right. So let's just click on chat model. What chat model do we need? Let's say, let's go ahead with OpenAI. We are configuring the brain, the LLM of AI agent. That's clear? All right. So let's again, guys, the core fundamental concept of n8n is it will give you all the external integrations with all the apps, as I mentioned, Google Drive, Outlook, Telegram, etc. All you have to do is establish a connection. All you have to do is just establish a connection. Okay, somebody has joined a little late. I am going to share the document again. Okay, all right. So all you have to do is just establish a connection with your external service because n8n does not know what is your account, right? It needs to establish a connection. That is all it needs. All the heavy lifting is done by the n8n, okay? So similarly, in this case, we need to interact with ChatGPT. We need to interact with OpenAI, all right? We need to interact with this LM. So we need to give it the API key, right? Does that make sense? Okay. So again, similar to what we have been doing so far, we just have to put in the API key of ChatGPT. Even if you don't want to put in the API key, it gives you free OpenAI credits as well. For example, let's say you say, Prakhar, you know what? I don't want to spend money. For starters, I just want to experiment with free credits. Good news is n8n comes up with 100 free credits. So that can help you get up to speed with some AI agents. And when you have exhausted those free credits, in that case, you can pay for an API key and you can provide that API key here. I personally have exhausted my credits because I work a lot with n8n. I build lots of AI agents and automations. That is why I have exhausted my free credits. Otherwise, if you have your credits, there is nothing that you have to do. You don't have to establish any connection. Okay. Just click on this n8n free open AI credits and you should be done. But I have created a connection before because I have exhausted it. That's why I'll choose it. All right. Now, what model do I want to choose? Let's choose a very nice model, okay? Let's test the capabilities of GPT-5 maybe. All right, how good of a model it is, we'll get to know today. Also, you can see a lot of things here. See, there are so many configurable parameters here, but that's up to you. I'll leave that to you because if we go into details of everything, that the session will stretch to at least 7 8 hours. That's for up to you to decide whatever you want to choose. But for example, temperature. What does temperature mean? How creative do you want your model to be? These kind of things can easily be modified here. Let's say I want to make my model zero creative. I can keep it zero, right? So that's all that these properties show you. Long story short, we have configured our chat model. What is next? As I mentioned, we also need to set up memory here so that all our conversations can be stored in past. And again, fortunately for non-developers, n8n comes with its own set of memory storage solution. You don't have to set up any database, Postgres, etc., etc. So the good thing is that you can use the inbuilt system of storing memory. Think of it as this. n8n is a cloud platform, so it must be running on some system, right? That computer would be having some RAM of itself. So whatever chat you are giving it, it's storing simply in the RAM of the computer where n8n is running. Does that make sense? Make sense? Good enough so far? Can I move ahead? Nothing complicated so far? Just a quick check of 5 seconds. Is everybody comfortable till now? Okay. Now I am going to move ahead. All right, perfect. Okay, somebody's asking when the system is off. n8n has a backup capability as well, but that is not very reliable. So yes, your question is totally valid. If the system of n8n goes off, if there is a downtime on n8n side, then yes, there is a high chance that the memory might be erased. That is why I'm just saying that if you want to play around, or if you want to just create some, let's say, assistants or agents on yourself, in that case, you can use simple memory. But let's say you are, working on a production grade application where you want to have persistent memory, in which case, yes, it would be a great idea to not use simple memory, and it would be a great idea to use some other thing of yourself, right? Maybe a persistent memory storage solution like MongoDB. Or maybe you can have a Redis. Redis is basically a caching system, a caching database, but those require more technical ability, which I'm assuming not the general audience, all of you sitting here might have. That is why to just grasp the whole understanding of AI agent ecosystem, the best way to go forward is to use simple memory. Of course, if you want to just remove this one and you would want to use new memory, the concept stays the same. See this, I'll just show you. Take a look at this. If I use this simple memory as the main option, in which case I have two options, session key and context window length, right? Now, let's say if I remove this and if I want to use Redis as a memory, which is a persistent, we can use at a persistent one. In this case, again, there are just a couple of options that you have to set up. So even if you want to set up some other database of your own, it's just a couple of settings that you have to look up, nothing else. All right. So you just have to understand the whole ecosystem and then you should be good. All right. I'm going to choose this. The context length can be 10, which means that a history of 10 messages or 10 conversations can be stored. Make sense? Does that make sense? All right. Great. Let's go ahead. Okay, the last thing is let's configure some tool. Okay, let's see. What was the first thing that we had in mind? We wanted to send some emails to people, right? For example, maybe I want to say something like, send an email to Prakhar reminding about the deadline for today. Maybe this is what I want, right? This is what I want my personal assistant to do. So what is the tool that I would want to use? I would want to use Outlook, right? So I will just search for Outlook, Microsoft Outlook tool. And then again, as I mentioned, you have to establish a connection. So again, it's very simple. See, close, simple. I will just click on create new credential. It says connect my account. I'm just clicking on it. It's not at all complicated. It's simply asking me to sign in. See, sign into Outlook. I will just enter my password here. It will ask me for some permissions, confirm sign in. Yes, connection successful. That is it. Okay. Connection has been created with Microsoft Outlook as well. Now, what is the operation that I would like to perform here? It is send operation. It can be get operation. Maybe you want to read the emails. Maybe you want to reply to an email. Maybe you want to delete an email, right? But in our case, we want to send an email. That is why I will choose this send option here, right? Now, what is the value of the two here, right? To whom should I send the email? It can vary, right? It should depend on the user input. I might say Prakhar here, I might say Harsh here, depending upon who I want to send an email to. So there can be no fixed value here. Do you agree? Does everybody agree here? Does everybody agree that this value cannot be static? This has to keep changing. Are you aligned? Okay, great. So in that case, there has to be a system where AI can pass in some dynamic value to all these tools, right? That's intuitive, right? I would assume that AI should be able to parse the user's input and then figure out what value needs to be passed here. Correct? That's exactly what n8n provides. See this. Let the model define this parameter. You see this icon here? That's exactly what this icon does. That leave this blank, let the model decide it. So I leave all the values blank. Subject, no. I don't want to define any subject. I will let the AI model define this. I will let the AI model define message as well. Anything else? I can mention any number of things. Attachments, BCC, CC recipients, from, etc. But let's just keep things simple for now. And let's just leave it right here. Okay, cool. So Should we run this workflow now? Should I try it out? Is everybody excited? Is everybody excited, guys? Okay, perfect. Let's run this workflow. All right. Okay, I am going to run it. So I'm just, first of all, always make sure to click save here. Otherwise, if n8n machine gets restarted, which is not very often, but two things can happen. If you do not click here, your progress might be lost if you lose internet connectivity, or if, let's say, n8n servers restart. In both the cases, you will end up losing out on your progress. Always make sure whatever progress you make, click the save workflow button here because there is no auto save in case of n8n. All right. Okay, somebody saying that there is a need for getting email. You're absolutely spot on, but I want to show you what happens when I do not provide anything. All right. You're totally spot on. That's what I'm trying to get to. But let's just test our progress, right? Test first approach. All right. Let's just click on execute workflow and see this waiting for you to create an event in Telegram. Okay. Send an email to Prakhar reminding about deadline for today. All right. What happens here? So, okay. So AI agent has failed. Why is this, guys? Why is this happening? Okay. Do you see this? Session key from previous node. Something is definitely wrong, right? What is it that is going wrong? This is because this chat session needs a session key, right? As I mentioned that there is a simple memory defined in n8n. That simple memory needs a key so that your memory and my memory can be segregated. Do you agree? Your memory and my memory needs to be segregated. So there has to be a unique key so that n8n can know what should I pick it from, right? So I'll just define some key here. Wait, something is going wrong. I'll just delete this here. I will click this simple memory again. Okay, so you see this option here. There are two options here. Define below. So it's asking that if you have a specific key in mind, you can just put that as the unique identifier so that whenever I want to pull in memory regarding your AI agent, I can use that key to fetch the whole input, right? For example, whenever you log into Google, you have a specific email ID. That's a unique identifier that is assigned to you, nobody else, right? So that Google knows what data is to be fetched to you. That's exactly what this key means here, right? So this identifier that you see here, this is coming from Telegram. The chatbot that we have created, it gets assigned a unique identifier, right? So you can use that as the chat session ID. Now let's try it again. Hopefully this works. Maybe this doesn't work. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. No prompt specified. All right, guys. All right. Why is this happening? Any guesses? Because we haven't defined any prompt. How will an AI agent function if it is not told what to do, right? It needs to get a user message. Forget about system message. I know you might be thinking that, Rakhar, you told some crap about system prompt as well. Forget about that. First of all, the compulsory part is that AI agent should get this input as well, right? We haven't defined that input here. The chat message that we have given in Telegram, there is no way for us till now to get that into the AI agent as a prompt, right? So that is exactly what I have to do. Define below, and I have to define the user prompt, which I can just do by drag and drop. See this? You see this text field here? I will simply drag it here. Okay. This will tell me send an email to Prakhar reminding about deadline for today. This is a way of saying that this is a dynamic value. It can keep changing, but take it from the Telegram text. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Is everybody following so far? Nothing complicated. I just want to see some. Please keep the chat going, guys. That will also make me understand if I need to pace up or pace down. Clear? Okay. All right. Let's give it final shot. All right. Seems like it has gone ahead. So what is the prompt to AI agent in this case? Let's take a look. See, what is the prompt? The prompt is send an email to Prakhar reminding about the deadline for today. Okay. Now let's take a look at what has happened so far. Okay. Do you see there's a tick here? There's a tick here, but there is no tick in the send a message in Microsoft Outlook. Why is this happening? What is the response? Take a look at the response. AI agent, input and output. What is the response here? I can send that. Please share Prakhar's email address, your preferred sign off name, etc. etc. All right. So it's saying that I cannot send anything till the time I have an email address, which is something that some of you have already spotted. So kudos to you. All right. Now, how will you assign the email IDs to the AI agent, right? You cannot manually keep, it's not a good user experience if I have to say, send an email to prakhar.bafna, etc., right? That's not how I should function. What if I can give it some kind of a contact book, right? Maybe a simple Excel sheet to start with. Will that be fair? Will that work? That should work, right? Yes. So that's exactly what is going to be our next tool. Let's give it a Google contact sheet, maybe, right? Google sheet. All right. Before that, I would like to show you what sheet I'm talking about. All right. Let me show you. How does a contact sheet look in our case? My drive contacts. All right. I have already created a sheet for all of you, which is a very simple sheet. See this name, email. What is the name? What is the email? That's it. Okay. That's all a contact book looks like. Maybe if in future you develop your assistant and you wanted to call somebody, you can have it as phone number as well, right? But for now, we need only email ID. That should be good, more than enough. That is why I have prepared this sheet. Make sense? Make sense to everybody? All right, let's go ahead. So let's go back. I have created this Google Sheets tool. What is it that I want to do with it? Right? I want to get rows. There are a lot of things that you can do. You can append a row, you can clear the whole sheet, you can delete it, you can delete some rows, you can update a row. But what is it that I want? I want to get some rows. All right. From which list? From which document? I want to get it from contact. Okay. Wait. Maybe I haven't signed into the right account, right? Let me sign in. Again, very simple sign in. As I had mentioned earlier as well, it just asks you to log in into Google Sheets and then you're done. No complex setup, nothing. Okay. Now let's choose contacts. From sheet, we just have one sheet within this. It's just sheet one. So I'll just click on sheet number one. That's it. Okay. So hopefully now, whenever we send a message, we request it to give send an email, it should be able to use this sheet. Do you think so? What do you think will happen? Any guesses? Now, do you think this will work? Do you think this will work? Okay, let's try. All right, somebody is saying this will work. Let's see. Send an email to Prakhar. Let's give it 30 more seconds for it to finish, and then let's see. Okay, this has succeeded. All right, let me just confirm. Did it work? Did it work? Yes, it has worked. See, do you like it? Hi, Prakhar. Just a quick reminder that deadline is today, October 15. Please let me know if you need anything or expect any delay. Happy? Can you share some excitement in the chat just to make me understand if you guys are having fun or not? Just keep the chat going, guys, please. Okay, now I want you to take a look at one more thing, all right? Let me downgrade the model. Currently, we're using a very smart model, but let's say I only use GPT-4. Let's see if that works. Okay, let's do the same exercise again. Let's see if this works. Okay, something has gone wrong. Do you see? Do you spot an issue here? Or am I the only one spotting an issue here? Do you see an issue? Google Sheets hasn't been called. See, there is a tick on Outlook, but there is no tick on Google Sheets. Why is that so? Why is that so? And I haven't received any email. Do you see? Something has definitely gone wrong. What is it? I do not know, but something. Oh, see this. Prakhar@example.com. This is not an email ID. It's a made up email ID. Why do you think that would have happened? Can anyone tell me why would that have happened? GPT-5 used to work well. Why did GPT-4 not work? Is it not smart enough? I'll tell you why. Okay. Um, Mismatch. No, it's not a mismatch. I'll tell you why. The problem is, yes, GPT-5 is way smarter, so it is able to decode that. But the fundamental problem lies in something called this system prompt, right? As I mentioned, currently what we have done is we have given LLM a car and we are asking it to drive it. We have just given it an accelerator, a brake, and we're asking it to use it as it is. We haven't told it that, let's say, if you want to stop, you should put a brake. If you want to increase the speed, you should press the accelerator. We have just asked it to just drive the car, right? So we haven't told it under what circumstances should it use the contact sheet, right? It is not so smart enough to tell. Of course, it's very smart, but you as the user or I as a user understand my use case, right? It would not know by itself that if Prakhar is asking to sending an email to somebody, I should by default go and look into Google Sheets, right? Does that make sense? That is exactly what system prompts are for. System prompts guide the whole agentic system to understand what tool to be used and at what point exactly, right? So that is why it did not work. GPT-5 was way smarter, so maybe it just took it up. But of course, you can't just rely on the intelligence of model because GPT-5 was able to do it currently. It might have failed, right? It's unpredictable. AI agents are not deterministic. These are flexible, but they also come up with a downside that they are not deterministic. Sometimes they outperform, sometimes they underperform. So it's your job as an AI generalist to make sure that you provide in correct set of system instructions to optimize or to increase the performance of AI agents, right? Is that clear? Once you get the hang of it, adding the other tools should be super simple. All right, just make sure you understand this part of it pretty well. Take a snapshot of it in your mind. Once you understand how to create a system prompt here, then your journey will be very, very smooth. I promise. Okay, somebody's asking what is the function of ChatGPT here? What is the sequence of sequential executes? Okay, what is the function of ChatGPT?